Hello, thank you for joining Thursday's edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Dani-Koy. Today on the Hangout, Lagos gets FG's nod to construct International Airport Road. SANS kick against continued detention of Dasuki El-Zakzaki, and Boko Haram's attempt to attack army barracks foiled. I will be hanging out with Tunde Abaton and Charles Ideho for now. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Journalist Hangout starts now. Now it is now Uhuru at last for Lagos State after the federal government gave what was somewhat of a nod to the reconstruction of the International Airport Road. The road had earlier in the year pitched the Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode against his predecessor, and Minister of Works, Power and Housing Babatunde Raji Fashola. And now it's cheering news as the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo, has granted permission to the state to embark on a total reconstruction of the road from Oshodi. The governor of the state, Akinwumi Ambode, has since described the approval as the federal government's 50th birthday gift to the state. I'll start with you, Tunde. How cheery a news is this for the state?
Well, I think when you look at the history of Nigeria and the advent of the kind of federal system that we are supposed to be practicing, I think it is cheering in the sense that with this development, because Lagos State is not the first instance, the federal government should begin to think of diversing some of the hold is holding on certain institutions in Nigeria. Because if that road is there, in the last 7 years it has been the same state, it means the federal government has lost the capacity. It may have the ability, but it has lost the capacity to maintain some of the things that it has been holding.
When you say ability, what do you mean?
It has the ability, it has the money, but it has no capacity. Either political will is not there, or the finances is not there. Then if you cannot maintain your property in any part of Nigeria, then the government should think of, because the Lagos government is not asking them to come and undertake the repair, but Lagos government is taking it as its responsibility because citizens of Nigeria live in Lagos State, and it wanted to gain maximum from attracting investors. When you leave the airport, the first place you touch is that particular road, and you wonder why any government will allow you to be on that state. So let us, I want government to go ahead and not only give it to Lagos State, let them look at many other institutions or roads in the part of Nigeria and give it to the state government to maintain, rather than leave it in such a sorry state under the name of it belongs to the federal government. It belongs to the federal government.
All right, Charles.
That takes us back to the issue of restructuring Nigeria.
Yeah, I was going to go to that. I remember last week, Charles, we were talking about the issue of power, where you were the one that talked about where some states wanted to generate power on their own, and then they were asked to feed to the national grid. Now, does this echo what Tunde just said, again, the need for the federal government to hands off certain projects for states to take over?
Well, the Constitution has delineated this project and rest of them into 3 phases. You have for instance, the issue of road, you have the Trunk A road, which belongs to the federal. You have the Trunk B, which is the Trunk C local government. What I think should happen is a synergy between the center and the component states. What you have these days is that the federal will say this road A belongs to us, and if they are not maintaining it, the state cannot, maintain the road. I tell you, during the last administration, I traveled to some states in the country where I found very intimidating signboard. What they say that this is federal road. So the road is in the total disrepair, but the state will remind you, even though the road is in that state, but they will tell you it is not our state, it's not our road. So that you don't blame them. I mean, when the federal government that owns the road has neglected the road, and the road is located in the state, so it was like a quagmire. But what we're having now, I think, is going to bring about a template of how the central government and the state, the companies that can work together. They have to, because you know what, who is going to be the ultimate beneficiary is the people. Take a look at this issue of Lagos State government, their desire to reconstruct this road. It's going to be about 10 lanes, and the road is going to come from the international airport and terminate at Oshodi. I saw the design of the Oshodi terminus. It's good. Look, it's going to trigger off a lot of activities. The people, you are going to have more vehicles there. You're going to have people who are going to be vendors. Then even when you're considering these roads now, people are going to supply electrical fittings. I mean, you are creating economic activities. The people are going to benefit at the end of the day. And then I always say that a country is as beautiful as the airport, as its airport. You understand? I was in Addis Ababa some time ago where I had to engage in a discussion with an Italian lady. She was boasting of her knowledge of Africa. She knows Africa so much. How well do you know Africa? And she was mentioning the countries she has been to. What countries? She has been to Burundi, she has been to Congo DR. And then her picture of Africa is about strife, it's about crisis and the rest of that. I said, no, that's not Africa. You cannot judge by the whole of Africa by the country you have visited. That tells you that if people who are coming to Nigeria, it is what they see of that Mafuluko, that's the meta picture they will have of Nigeria. So that's why it's very good. When you enter from there, the beauty you will see of that road takes you around Oshodi, and then you look at the terminal, and then you get to Ikoyi. When they go back there, they are going to tell a story of a beautiful country, which of course will help us to now be a tool to advertise the country as a good country people can visit. You're not beginning to talk about tourism. People can come and say, oh, this is a beautiful country. They don't need to see Agege. They don't need to see all this other back street. That's exactly how to promote unity between the central government and the component states. It's a good idea, and I praise the wisdom of the acting president to have given a nod to this.
Yes. All right. Now, we haven't actually had or gotten word from the Minister for Works and Housing, that's in person of Babatunde Raji Fashola. But then does this douse the disagreement that occurred, I think sometime early this year, between both the Lagos State government and the Minister of Works with this development?
Well, I don't really think it borders on disagreement. I think it's a question of lack of understanding between the two. Yes, the governor of Lagos did raise an alarm that it has not getting any particular encouraging signal from the federal government on the road that belongs to the federal government, on which the state is prepared and it has money to repair. But at the same time, the minister made us to realize that it's a question of process. When you want to maintain any federal road, you have to write to the ESCO, Federal Executive Council. They have to debate it, they have to authorize it, as it was done in Kano and some other parts of Nigeria. So let us look at the system. That is why I'm saying that what is the essence of holding something that you cannot maintain, something that you cannot control? Because it's not only Lagos. By the time you go to Ibadan, we have an airport in Ibadan, we have airport in Kano, we have airport in Makurdi, we have airport in Enugu, we have airport in many parts of Nigeria. If we are talking of airport, has the federal government shown enough capacity to maintain something that belongs to it? If it is in a question of going back to our constitution, instead of, because this thing, as far as I'm concerned, it is piecemeal. We are just scratching the surface. Let us go back to the nitty-gritty of the federalism we are operating. Because to me, if it has to take 10 years to fix that road, it means the federal government has lost the capacity to maintain all what it has in all parts of Nigeria. Let the federal government begin to share the weight. Let us take, for instance, the issue of primary education. In the primary school that is in my village, somewhere in Ogun State, why must it be that the federal government is the one that will be owing teacher salary? When teachers are unable to get salary, they will say it is federal government. It's not state government. Why must federal government be building primary schools in this kind of country that we have in Nigeria? Let it be state government, because the teachers or the localities there, the locals there, they don't know anybody who is the president. The only name they hear is the governor of that state. So let us begin to shed this power down. So this kind of situation cannot happen. If even ordinary, the majority, if you use majority system of Lagos, can repair that road instead of even Lagos state government. So let us put a system in place in which deterioration will not set in and people begin to pass the buck. It belongs to the federal government. Look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Until 3 years ago, when you are passing through, you see that picture, the signboard bearing the name of President Olusegun Obasanjo, road under construction. And you see Lagos State government, they will come with an inscription, sorry, this road belongs to the federal government. So why are we having all this confusion all over the place? The federal government is controlling 56% of the national resources. The remaining 44% is shared between the state and federal government. So if it has to get to this stage for the federal government to perform its role, I think we have to take a second look at the apportioning of roads and some other infrastructures. Look at the Lagos Apapa Road. In a year, an amount of about 1.3 trillion is generated from that particular port. And the minister, Mr. Rajibaba Pashola, said something. Says something recently that it will require about 100 billion to fix that port. A port that is generating about 1.3 trillion for Nigeria. Is 100 billion too much to fix that road? The more you fix that road, the more you reduce the operating cost for all the stakeholders. The more you reduce the operating cost for vehicles that are passing, the more you make more money for the federal government. And you also reduce the man hours, and you also prolong the lifespan of those people. All right. Using that road.
We take a break now and return to talk more on this topic. Stay with us. You're still watching Thursday's edition of Journalist Hangout, and we are looking at Lagos State getting the acting president not to reconstruct the international airport route. That's Murtala Mohammed International Airport Route. Now, Charles, before we came on the air, well, looking at the possibility of getting this node, that is it because of the fact that Lagos State is aligned with the center in terms of party, looking at the fact that, okay, Lagos State is also looking at constructing a 4th mainland bridge, and then we have a light rail project. All these developments are springing up all of a sudden. Is it out of the fact that the state is aligned with the center, Charles?
Well, it's not impossible, and it's not so unusual that you find the speed which all these things are being given to Lagos now and some other states, APC states. Because when you take a look at the states that are on the same page politically with the center, it makes things easier. But that shouldn't be. A country is supposed to be a common constituency of development. Because when you elect a president, he's not the president of Kano State, he's not the president of Jigawa or president of Edo State. He is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So his interests must be all encompassing. But what we have here is that when you have a center, and the center comes from party A, a state that is not on the same page politically with that center, if the state comes from party B, you have to pass through the eye of the needle for you to be able to get something to your state. It shouldn't be. I do understand that. I do recognize the fact that party differences can always has its own disadvantages. But we can't all be on the same party. That is why we say it's popular democracy. Everybody has his own right. Everybody has his own right to align with whatever interest. But once we have a federal, during political, the processes, one knows, okay, you go to a candidate of party A can say, okay, vote for me. But once he gets in there, the whole country becomes its own common constituency, as I said earlier. So this issue of, because Lagos State is on the same page politically with the center, that's why it's having things easily. It is a factor, but it shouldn't be encouraged. The states that are like Abia and the rest of the PDP, the people there are Nigerians. They also deserve the good governance. So if, for instance, their state has a governor that is on the other party, not the same party as the center, why should the people there be punished? It doesn't make any sense at all. So even though I do know, as I said earlier, that we have party A in government, you have party B in the other state, that shouldn't be encouraged. There must be a way that these states that are outside outside the main party must have a synergy with the central. And it is the central government is going to have to call them, not to start dividing. You have the center, you have the state. No, it shouldn't be something most encouraging in this dispensation, so that the people can begin to have a feel of governance. Because if you say, because it's APC that is the center, Abia, for instance, is a PDP that is ruling there, the people, it's not the governor, it's the people that will suffer, because they won't ever get anything out of the center, and it shouldn't be. All of us are Nigerians.
All right, Tunde, do you share the same view?
Well, I think I will just also go further to explain further that Nigeria has 36 states, including the FCT, 37. Lagos State is the nucleus of Nigeria. There is no state in Nigeria that is not, or no tribe in Nigeria that is not adequately represented in Lagos State. So when you decide to say, because you are in one party, you are not going to allow development projects to take in Lagos, you are punishing all Nigerians. And the president of Nigeria is the president of all the states that are subsets of Nigeria. A state is a subset of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Just like you have 11 players playing on the football field. You see 11 of them are selected from Delta State. Are they not Nigerians? If they win the cup, they are going to say Nigeria has won. They will not say indigenous of Delta State have won the cup. So the question now is that every president, every government, we are still practicing medieval politics in Nigeria, and that's why we cannot move forward. Even when you go to Abia State that you mentioned, or you go to Kogi State, you go to Zamfara State, I doubt if there are no other Nigerians. There are many other Nigerians from all parts of Nigeria resident in those states, which means a state is a minute part of the whole. So
to cut in here now, doesn't the vision of the governor in a particular state, whether you are aligned or not, because Lagos is not the only APC state. Right. So is the vision of the governor in that state is also key to drive growth in a particular state. So if that is not in place, will all of this happen?
Well, the thing is that, you know, your vision is determined by the challenges you have in your state. If your state is so remotely disconnected from the federal government, you may not have much challenge. The little resources that you are earning may be enough for you to maintain the very little presence that you have in that state. But when you have a state that is so robust, when you take Lagos, take even Ogun State, look at Kano State, look at Kaduna, look at River State, there's no way you will not need to do something that will command federal presence. So anybody that must rule all those states that are fastly becoming a metropolitan state must think like a governor from a megapolis like Lagos. So the size of the state also determines the kind of leadership you throw up. And the leadership itself, to be able to rule that state, must also live up to expectation, to be able to tap all the resources. There are a lot of states in Nigeria that are not even tapping the resources that God has given them to draw the attention of the federal government. Well, if you are unable to draw federal government attention, you only make do with what you have. And the problem is that all these 36 states, they have a handout that they are collecting every month. It is not making them to think. So because Lagos State, up to now, Lagos is about 22 million. It's collecting about 5 billion from the federation account. That is when oil was 104 naira per liter. And if Lagos is collecting 5 billion, I'm telling you the salary wage of Lagos is almost 6 billion. Go and ask anybody. So when you collect 5 billion and you spend 6 billion in deficit, how are you going to develop road? Which means anybody who must rule a state like Lagos must be thinking of how to generate revenue.
In quick addition to that is that this issue of always seeking federal presence in your state, it would have become a factor if, for instance, states are allowed to have a modicum of control over what comes out from the states. It is the issue of over-centralizing administration that is causing all this thing. Okay, because we have a center, a very powerful center and weak components. So if you want to make anything for your people to see that you are indeed working, you have to attract federal presence to your state. But if the state in question were allowed to have control over the mineral or whatever resources they bury in the belly of that state to make sure of it, they wouldn't have any need for you to say you want to attract the federal presence. Because even what is gotten from you alone is, I tell you, for instance, I was doing a research pretty recently. I stumbled upon a report that even Nasarawa State has no fewer than 21 mineral resources buried in the soil. Imagine if Nasarawa State is allowed, to have control over something that they make. You have miners and then you refine so and you earn quality foreign exchange. Nasarawa State will not have any need to be asking for federal presence. Lagos State now can. When Ashwaju Bola was governor of Lagos State, the federation account, the whatever was accrued to them was seized for about 20 months, right? But Lagos State was able to survive. Why? Because of the IGRO. So, as he said, most states will now have to become very creative. I do understand that the issue of mining of them is on the exclusive list. But the states can also reach out to federal government. As I said, they can synergize to look at how they can be in control of some of those things. If possible, to pay royalty to the center, so that the funding that is required to develop this state, so that and then to curtail this movement, this urban rural drift. For instance, if Benin City were to be as rich in terms of facilities as Lagos, I won't come to Lagos. If Ibadan has all the facilities you have in Lagos, or half of it, you can live in Ibadan. But everybody wants to come to Lagos. Lagos is where it's happening. So that if we do all this thing, we decongest Lagos, and some of these things will begin to have all this development over there, and the people over there can also be empowered economically. All
right, now, another question is the fact that the state government has said that it is ready to hit the ball rolling. But then it's appealing to the federal government that the 2 billion allocated for the project in the 2017
like
budget
funding also, yeah.
Yes, should be released to them. But now we are just seeing the face of the vice president, the acting president, you know, in all of this. We haven't seen the face of the minister. So how possible is this going to happen?
Well, I think we don't have to belabor the issue of minister, because this is not it's a parliamentary system of government. This is a presidential system of government. When this president talks, the deed is already done. There's very little. If the minister did not bring it to the attention of the president at the Federal Executive Council meeting, he would not have acted on nothing. So the acting president has acted on the report that was submitted to him by the Minister for Works. And mind you, the Lagos State government said that they require about 30 billion to fix that thing, but they already have 29 billion out of it. That was what Governor Akinwumi said, that out of they only need to add part of the money from the Paris Club. They only need to add 1 billion to it. But now it's now asking that, okay, regarding that you are going to do that, give us the 2 billion. That is even federal catapult funding, so that we can go ahead with the project. And I think that with the acting president making a declaration that they can do that, I mean, it is given that
it's a done deal.
It is a done deal. So we don't have to go back to the minister, because if the minister did not present it to the Federal Executive Council, as it is done in many other states in Nigeria, it will not. The other time when the minister went to Ogun State, the governor was appealing to them to even also hand over some federal roads to state government, so that they can also look for money to do it and not ask the federal government for a refund later.
Okay. That is where you have some of these challenges, the issue of refund. I mean, federal government is still
almost all the states.
I'm not sure they haven't finished paying Lagos State for what Lagos State have done. So that's why some states are always afraid to fund this, because getting it back is always a problem. Yes.
All right, still ahead on Journalist Hangout, SANS kick against continued detention of Dasuki and El Zakzaki. Details shortly. You're still watching Thursday's edition of Journalist Hangout, and we have Mark calling from Lagos. Mark, are you there?
Good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah. My name is Comrade Mark Uloko, calling from Nagege.
All right.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to give kudos to our able governor, Akinwumi Ambode, for his good work, because he's so passionate about the development of this state. And so I really appreciate him. On issue, you know, Nigerians, we are serious left behind, in the sense that most of our leaders have lost ideas of developing the virus spaces. And if you look at it, most of the governors, most natural resources that are available, they are just concentrated about the federal allocation that is coming to them, which is is not a good idea. So my advice I want to use this avenue to appeal to our state government that they should, embark on innovative ideas that can change the development of the country. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Comrade Mark. Now, gentlemen, your last take on this topic concerning the Lagos State getting a nod to reconstruct the international airport. Charles.
Well, for me, the executive order that the acting president gave is very good, because it's going to also help to trigger off a lot of economic activity, especially this issue of the ease of doing business. You now see that this very scarce FDIs, foreign direct investment we're looking for, if you have this thing coming up in Lagos, you see that it's going to attract, even the issue of tourism is going to come, and you see people will fly in, and if you have the security on that road too, also will be beefed up, because the way it is now, hoodlums can hide, around, because the road is bad. But if you have a road that is as macadamized as it should be, the way I see it on the picture, then you find that the security is going to be, and then economic activities are going to also be shored up, which is a good idea for me.
All right.
Well, I also believe that reasonable devolution of powers to the state, because Lagos State is only reaping from its population. It's not as if Lagos State has any resources that it is mining. It is the population of Lagos State.
Is it discovered oil?
No, it's not. You've not started any money from that.
They are yet to start.
Yeah, yet to start the production.
The federal government has to unbundle Nigeria. When I say unbundle Nigeria, we have to release most of this power, so to say, so that the creative energies, the resources that are embedded in the use of the system in Nigeria could be tapped. They could open their states to foreign investors. If they know that it is too cumbersome to come to Ogun State now that there's a particular resources there, and the federal, Ogun State has to apply to the federal government, it should take 5 years. No investor will come to that state. So far they know you are tied to the apron string of the federal government. And you probably go to the National Assembly, you start dragging it. This kind of system is not making Nigeria to develop. So we have to unbundle Nigeria so that the creative energies of all the 36 states of the country can be released. And as we are doing that, we are attracting foreign investment. We are allowing our young men to have jobs.
All right, we need to move now. Some senior advocates of Nigeria have condemned the continued detention of the immediate past National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuki, retired, and the leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Shiites, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, despite court injunctions ordering the release of the former NSA and the Shiite leader, while Dasuki is being tried for his roles in the alleged diversion of $2.1 billion meant for the procurement of arms during the regime of former President Goodluck Jonathan. El-Zakzaki is being held in connection with the clash between his sect members and soldiers in Zaria in December 2015. Tunde, I'll start with you. Is this a welcome call by the senior advocates of Nigeria to release this man?
Well,
is it coming too late?
It is not too late, but we have to know one thing. In as much as I believe we are in a participatory democracy, where people have their rights, where we have the court that is supposed to put in check both the federal government and the military and some others. At the same time, I just want to believe that perhaps the federal government, it's not an excuse. The federal government has some other reasons it is holding these people, because it has obeyed some other court orders. And when this present party is in power, we all know what people are talking about, the rule of law, the obedience to rule of law. Because when the rule of law breaks down, then there's anarchy sets in. I think except the federal government has enough convincing reasons, which they are not ready to tell Nigerians on why they are holding these people after all the course of jurisdiction has ruled for their freedom. The federal government should release them. But should the federal government fail to release them, then the democracy is in jeopardy and rule of law is being seriously questioned. Because even Dasuki has gone to the West African ECOWAS court. ECOWAS court has equally directed that he should be released, except the government has some other reasons, which is bordering on treason.
From details gathered while I was researching the topic, that talks about, the federal government talks about, okay, now this is not recently, talked about there were other charges against him, and then for El-Zakzaki, they were trying to protect him, that the chances of when he returns home, there might be chaos, Charles, and all of this. Now, these reasons are not recent.
Whatever reason the federal government has is not tenable. It's not powerful enough to keep these people in custody. If the court has declared that these people should be granted bail, a party where APC prided itself of a democratic party before they came in, which is what gave us, some of us, that leverage to surrender our mandate to them. It is binding on them to obey court orders. When you grant somebody bail, that is not total freedom. When you grant somebody bail, that is not acquittal. When you grant somebody, that is not discharge. You are saying go, why investigations are continuing. So the case is still continuing. You have not said they have been totally free. For what it means is that what I expect the federal government to do, first of all, obey the court order. No matter even if it is customary court that has given that order, obey that court order first. What you now do is you can have possession of their passports. You can curtail their movement. You can also put them under surveillance, under security surveillance, so that they don't have access to some of these things that could trigger any violence. But when you continue to hold these people against the ruling of the court, there's no way I will support it, because as it today has said, when the court has given its ruling and you, because whatever wisdom you have, you are disobeying it, it causes anarchy. Because the executive that is doing this is an arm of the government. That's why you have checks and balances. The one arm makes the law, the other one interprets, the other one adjudicates. So the one that adjudicates, you to allow us to also have freedom. When somebody has granted bail, there were evidence that were before the court before they say, okay, you grant this person bail. It did, as I said earlier, that is not acquittal. So this person should be released. You can now begin to place the person under surveillance or curtail the movement. But for you to continue to have them because you say you have other reasons, I totally do not support that, and I don't subscribe to that at all.
But at some point, the presidency, offered Samuel Dasuki time to go see his father, but he rejected
when he died,
yes, to go for the burial. But he rejected that offer. Now, how do you place this side by side? The fact that he was asked, okay, to see his dad, go for the burial, but then you are refusing the calls to go see your dad. I mean, how do you place it side by side by what is going on right now?
If I were the speaker, I personally would have rejected the offer. If the court says release him, release him. But when you say, oh, go, it's like you're putting a string. It's just like in those days.
Okay, if you could just hold the thought. We have Ben calling from Lagos. Ben, are you there?
I'm there.
Ben, are you there? Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I'm there. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, this is Ben calling from Barua, Lagos.
All right.
Please, I want to talk about the first topic.
Okay.
Yeah, but to start with, I will seize this opportunity to praise my able governor, Governor Ambode, for his good work in Lagos State.
Okay.
He has really tried in Lagos State. Though I don't really have any trust in politicians, but he himself really changed my mind. I love him. He should continue his good work.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now I'm talking about the airport road construction. Don't let's see it as a party something. It's just it's something of a power and position. I think the fight is between the minister himself and the governor of Lagos State.
It's not a fight.
There's no fight anymore.
It's not a fight.
It's disagreement. It's lack of understanding. What we have is lack of understanding.
Ben, are you there?
Our communication breaks down.
Ben? Okay, I guess it's gone.
I personally would have rejected the offer. That's like a Greek gift. All right? It's like, I mean, it reminds me of the Bible days when a priest will go into the Holy of Holies. You tie a string around him. So that if he doesn't shake in the next 10 minutes, you pull him out. So he doesn't have total freedom. If the court says release him, please obey that court order because of the rule of law. We must be seen as a country that is governed by civil rule, by whatever. For you to say, okay, because you have certain reasons, it's not tenable. As far as I'm concerned, it's not tenable, it's not strong enough. So those people must be released. But as I said, you can curtail their movement, you can place them under security surveillance, or you can even seize their passport to travel abroad. But to continue to keep them against the court orders, I do not subscribe to that, and I will not, even from now. If you call me again tomorrow, I will not subscribe to it.
All right. Now, another issue today is the fact that the civil rights seem to be raising their voice, and now they've been silent for a while. That was why I asked previously that isn't it a little too late? Well, now, are they really defending the rights of Nigerians as they should? Well,
we know that before we had the last general election, there are a lot of anger by the people against the government of today. So the moment this government came in, they came in to fight corruption. On that basis, I think the civil rights movement or generality of Nigerians are annoyed with the revelation they'll be having. So that sort of curtailed that. And you have to know that those who are in the vanguard Most of those people were in the so-called democracy or civil rights movements were in the vanguard of those people who came together to push the last government out.
All right,
So,
if you could just hold the thought. We have Okoro on the line. Are you there?
Yeah, Okoro is my name for Abia State.
Okay, go ahead with your contribution.
Give me my madam. You see, this issue of Dasuki and honestly, I'm only pleading to the federal government. Let us obey the law. There are different examples. Look at Trump. When Trump came into the office, after this crisis upon immigration, what happened? Trump obeyed the law. Trump went to the Court of Appeal. Trump went to the Supreme Court. What happened? He lost. What did he do? He passed through and changed and moved to another formula. That is the issue. So we Nigerians, we shouldn't be carrying, because like what the father claims to say, if you carry grudges against somebody inside your heart, it is you that carry that grudge that will suffer, not the person. So I'm talking to the government to try, and the governor of Lagos, he tried, honestly speaking, but I'm talking to the governor that they should try all this demolition. Before they demolish, they should try and help those people and find them another place of coming in. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you, thank you. All right, Tunde.
Like I was saying, those people who are in the vanguard of the movement for the change of government, most of them are in the democracy movement, apart from the politicians. So it is understandable when the new government came in, they seem to do like this to watch the government, the direction in which the government is going.
And they kept quiet for 2 years.
They kept quiet because most of the things that were in the front burner, I'm not explaining for them, but naturally you can know that it's the issue of corruption, that Nigerians were annoyed that. So we have so much mileage under that particular government. So attention was drifted to the issue of fight against corruption. Now that that one has been relatively settled, at least people know that a system has been put in place, a seriousness has been displayed to show that we want to fight corruption. Let us not go back to the basics, and the basics is that let us begin to respect the rule of law. More so when the government has had a measure of stability in government. The government is stable. But me, as far as I am concerned, I think I disagree with him on the issue of Dasuki. Look, it is only, you can only negotiate when you are free. You cannot negotiate from detention. I could remember in 1965.
Okay. All right, we need to quickly take this break, then you come back to continue. Stay with us. You're watching Thursday's edition of Journalist Hangout, and we have Anthony calling from Lagos. Anthony, are you on the line?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening. How
Go
are
ahead.
you today?
Thank you.
I just want to contribute to the issue of Dasuki and Zazak. In as much as there are cases against them, but let us look at from the point of the government. Are they genuine issues? Are they security? Security issues are not just mere criminal issues. These are issues that we may not have information of what has transpired in the past. And we do know the likes of Zazaki, when he was in Zaria, we know he was terribly a threat. And therefore, Dasuki, whatever he has been alleged to have done is a serious case. And the government may have serious information that we don't have. So in as much as we are talking about rule of law, let's look at the other side of it. Listen, are they possible? Do you have that trait of committing or causing havoc in the society? If yes, it's better you take one person out and let others have their peace. And that's it. So I understand where Charles is coming from. But let's look at the peace of the society. We have so more things in our hands, and we can't afford some people who are they have the resources to throw them around and turn the whole nation upside down. That is my own take. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Anthony.
Sorry, just allow me to quickly push in. I disagree with Anthony totally. What I'm saying, I'm not saying that what they did, I applaud them. I'm not saying I applaud Dasuki for diverting the funds meant for purchase of arms to other use. And I'm not applauding him. I'm not also applauding Ezazaki. What I'm saying, we were saying that it's a security matter. If you know it's a security matter, are there special courts that hear security cases? If there are, they should have taken them to those security courts where you can disobey court order. But as far as you brought those people to the civil courts, and there are processes, there are procedures, and if a court gives an order, I expect the same government that prides itself of being civil to obey that court order. And as I said, there are ways you can deal with the situation rather than total disobedience to court orders.
Okay, all right. We have Kuka on the line. Kuka, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead. Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
we are very happy the way you people are expressing the views of Nigeria through TVC journalist Hangout.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is not Buka. He wrote Buka. It's Bukar. It's B-U-K-A-R.
Oh, Booker.
Booker.
Sorry for the mix-up.
My contribution is that those people should remain in detention because what they are doing is not Islamic. It's nothing like Islam, something of that nature. And I want to bring to I want to bring the attention of Nigerians now. These Boko Haram people are being released, and they are very dangerous to us here. So we have to address this issue very well. There are many of their commanders who are now released, but they don't live in Maiduguri. Please, the government should do something. They should stop releasing these people because these people are more dangerous. They will be more dangerous than before.
All right, Booker. Thank you for your contribution. Yes, you were trying to disagree with Charles earlier, and so we need to quickly move on.
It's only somebody that is free that can negotiate. Nobody can negotiate for the position of strength when you are in captivity. So in whatever we look at it, in 1965, when the government was trying to broker a release of Chief Obasanjo Awolowo, he told them that they approached him in prison. He told them that, first of all, the only condition that can accept to be released, to negotiate, is to be released, first of all. When you release, you are out of captivity. You have your freedom. You have your senses. You have everything. But when you are now saying that, look, if the man had been released for 28 hours, it is enough for him strategically to change, to
but he wasn't giving conditions. He wasn't giving conditions. He said he didn't. He only rejected. He only rebuffed. He rejected the offer.
That's what I'm saying. That when
so he wasn't giving his own conditions. He rejected
when you have rejected a particular offer for a state that is bent on holding you perpetually, it is not where. I'm not saying the state has a right.
Because he said, they said, go bury your father and come back. That's what it means. So he said it wasn't good enough.
So you see, what we are saying is that you can only negotiate for the position.
He wasn't negotiating. He
only
rejected.
Gentlemen, we need to move on. Now, Nigerian army has fought another attempt by the Boko Haram insurgents to attack its barracks in Maiduguri. It was disclosed in a statement issued by the spokesman of the military counterinsurgency operation, Operation Lafia Dole, Colonel Onyema Nwachukwu. The statement further revealed that an intruder had attempted to gain access into Giwa barracks through the defensive position at the back of the barracks, but was challenged by vigilant troops on sentry. Today, despite the fact that these insurgents have been disengaged, they are still making attempts at a barracks.
What it means is that, like we always say here, the war against Boko Haram is not something that you think you can finish in 2 years. I'm telling you, in 5 years, we may still be on this particular thing because they've had a lot of long period of freedom where they amass a lot of ammunition. And don't forget that there is always an insider abuse when it concerns the issue of security in Nigeria. If there is no insider abuse in terms of information, in terms of strategy, in terms of tactics, in terms of the equipment they have, they won't be bold enough as to approach a barracks. It means they have the capacity of even grounding that particular barrack if they gain inside. It also means that they have some insider inside the military that is helping them. So you cannot say that you have incapacitated such a people that has that kind of force to approach a barrack. We are not talking of a police barrack. We are talking a military barrack, which means the fight against Boko Haram is not yet won, and we are still far from it. Probably it is just 40% won because they cannot make that attempt if they don't have insider information, signals, communication, equipment, and all these things reinforce their audacity to attack that particular barracks. So we should not think that the war has been won. I think the war is we are just 45%. It be able to incapacitate them. It means they have more equipment, more information, more strategy than the barracks they made an attempt.
But then we must commend the fact that the troops were vigilant to repel them, yeah. Charles.
First of all, let's take a look at there's, in all crises like this, similar crises, you have a battle, you have a war. You can easily win a battle, maybe within 6 months, but that same war can reach on for eternity. So it is what we may have defeated Boko Haram on the battlefield, but the war which is still on now is what the authorities are contending with, and it may not end in 2 years because these people are fighting a cause. As far as there is the cause, as far as the cause for which they are fighting still looms large in their psyche, there's no way they're going to let go, because they said they want to establish their own kind of government where they have Sharia as their governing the system, and no matter how much you want to fight them, they will find a way to always come back. Take a look at what today said. They don't have a more superior weapon. What they are looking for, they wanted to get entrance into that barracks, perhaps to steal weapons. That's what they're doing. But again, it's frightening for you to now say you are making an attempt at a barracks. They actually made an attempt at a barracks. Not that it's far away. It tells you that this book, when they say we are degraded, we've actually not degraded them. Let's not use propaganda on this issue. We need to re-strategize. We need to up our game in terms of information gathering. We need to we'll be talking about infiltrating their ranks. Let's look for a way where we can culture. Let me also repeat. I've already said this several times that when we were growing up in those days, we did in biology where you have this anthill. We had anthill in my village. When you get to the anthill, just destroy the anthill, give it a week or even number of days they'll build it. Why? Because the means of sustenance is still there. That's the queen. Yes. So, but if you take a queen out of an anthill, in a matter of days, the thing collapses on its own because the soldiers, the workers are helpless without the queen. So there is the issue of looking for exactly who are their sponsors. So if you can hit at their sponsors, take the sponsors away, like you take a queen away from the ants colony. Then Boko Haram you're talking about now, all the bragadocio and the rest of them will be a thing of the past. But as far as their sponsors are still there, they will keep on recruiting. You heard when Jide said the other time, but when he said that they are even giving loans to people. I mean, people who are, these are indigent folks over there who don't even have, they don't even know when the next meal will come. And somebody is promising you about $1,000. When you multiply into naira, you know how much it's going to be. The person hasn't even seen 5,000 naira for a long time. And you promise the person $1,000, which when you multiply by naira, is going to give you a lot of money. And you're saying the person should not align with those people. So we must look for a way to curtail them. Because this issue of daring barracks, I personally am afraid. All right.
We need to get your final take today on all of the topics.
Well, I think, like you said, we have to work more on the source of funding of Boko Haram in terms of logistics, in terms of capital, in terms of those people behind it. There's a saying in my place that the leaf that is dancing on the surface of the water, the drummer is beneath the water. We have to, after having Boko Haram for 5 years, we should have developed enough strategy to get at the root of the sponsors of the Boko Haram. Either it has moved to Syria, where the ISIS is still very strong, or within Nigeria. We have to do that.
I wish Nigeria well. Whatever we are doing, let's do it right. But let's also always make sure that the survival of the country, the good of the country must be paramount to everybody.
Gentlemen, thanks for coming on today's show. But that's all on Journalist Hangout. So join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. Watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Veronica Danik Boy. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.